Good morning. It's good to be with you on this Wednesday morning. We are getting close to being done with Ecclesiastes. We are going to finish chapter 10 today, and then tomorrow is chapter 11, and then chapter 12. So we are almost at the end of this time of great angst, which is Ecclesiastes, because the teacher sure does love to, as we have said many times, be the biblical example of the 90s grunge movement, where everything is terrible and everything is awful. So, and like I said, as somebody who grew up listening to Nirvana and Pearl Jam, it resonates with me. So, so today we're gonna finish chapter. We're gonna actually pick up in chapter 9, because I mentioned yesterday how there was a kind of break in the rhythm of the chapter, kind of moved into a poetic sense. So we're going to back up to chapter 9, verse 17, and then we're going to read all of chapter 10, because it's all kind of one poetic movement. Let's read this section together. The quiet words of the wise are more to be heeded than the shouting of a ruler among fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, and one bungler destroys much good. Dead flies make the perfumer's ointment give off a foul odor. So little folly outweighs wisdom and honor. The heart of the wise inclines to the right, but the heart of a fool to the left. Even when fools walk on the road, they lack sense. They show to everyone that they are fools. If the anger of the ruler rises against you, do not leave your post, for calmness will undo great offenses. There's an evil that I have seen under the sun, as great an error if it is proceeded from the ruler. Folly is set in many high places, and the rich set in a low place. I have seen slaves on horseback, and princes walking on foot like slaves. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it. Whoever breaks through a wall will be bitten by a snake. Whoever quarries stones will be hurt by them, and whoever splits logs will be endangered by them. If the iron is blunt, and one does not whet the edge, then more strength must be exerted. But wisdom helps one to succeed. If the snake bites before it's charmed, there is no advantage in a charmer. Words spoken by the wise bring them favor, but the lips of fools consume them. The words of their mouth begin in foolishness. Their talk ends in wicked madness. Yet fools talk on and on. No one knows what is to happen, and who can tell anyone what the future holds? The toil of fools wears them out, and they do not know the way to town. They don't even know the way to town. Alas, for you, O land, when your king is a servant, your princes feast in the morning. Happy are you, O land, when your king is a nobleman, and your princes feast the proper time, for strength and not for drunkenness. Through sloth the roof sinks in, and through insolence the house leaks. Feasts are made for laughter. Wine gladdens the heart. Money meets every need. Do not curse the king even in your thoughts, or curse the rich even in your bedroom. For a bird of the air may carry your voice, or some winged creature tell the matter. When I read that last line, do not curse the king even in your thoughts, or curse the rich even in your bedroom. For a bird of the air may carry your voice, or some winged creature tell the matter. I thought of Lord of the Rings when they're walking to Helm's Deep. No, when they're getting when the fellowship's going on the beginning of the journey, and the um, Saruman sends the birds out to spy on them. I just think of there's spies everywhere. So I just obviously he's speaking poetically is what he's doing. This felt a lot like Proverbs. Like this section here just felt a lot like the book of Proverbs that precedes Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes and Proverbs kind of are almost bookends to each other, I'd say. We see them. Proverbs is a reflection on wisdom and the importance of wisdom. And we do see in Ecclesiastes that wisdom, the teacher would say wisdom matters. I think the teacher would say it's better to be wise than not. Um, so little folly outweighs wisdom and honor. The heart of the wise inclines to the right. When fools walk on the road, they lack sense. Um, you know, the quiet words of the wise are more to be heeded. Wisdom is better than weapons of war. So we see the teacher is not against wisdom. He just thinks it doesn't matter. He thinks only that wisdom is not the cure all. Wisdom does not fix everything. Wisdom doesn't make everything perfect. And that even wisdom Feasts are made for laughter, wine gladdens the heart, and money meets every need. You know, compare that with Jesus, where he says, no man can serve two masters. He will love one and hate the other. You cannot serve both God and mammon. You cannot serve both God and wealth. But here he's saying, hey, money makes you happy, so it's all good. Money meets the needs. So you see him even with wisdom struggling to make sense of the world. Words spoken by the wise breathe in favor, but the lips of fools consume them. I think he would say ultimately it's better to be wise. It's better to be wise. Yet fools talk on and on. No one knows what will happen. Um, so we should seek wisdom. We should seek to learn. I think the encouragement to seek wisdom is something to be taken from this. Remember, not everything in the Bible is an example of what to do. So I think we can take this call to wisdom, but we do not have to wind up in the place of cynicism in the end that nothing matters. It's just that wisdom is not a means to an end. Wisdom itself is not the point. For us as Christians, Jesus is the point. Wisdom is not the point, friends. It isn't. And I think that's what I keep coming back to in each of these readings in Ecclesiastes. No matter what he's seeking after, no matter what he's dealing with, no matter what he's walking through, in the end, that thing is not the point. So yeah, wisdom is better than the weapons of war. It is. The quiet words of the wise are much to be heeded than the shoutings of a ruler among fools. So yeah, that's good. Wisdom is good. But in the end, who knows what will happen? And who can tell anyone what the future holds? In other words, the future is not promised. And I think that's one of the things that maybe that's what the teacher's struggling with. He's struggling with trying to find meaning, and he's struggling with trying to find a way to control the future. And I don't know if you're like me, but I don't like the unknown. I don't like to worry. I mean, I don't like to have uncertainty, so I worry a lot about things that I can't control. I'm working on it. I got a good therapist, and she's helping me process some of my worrying, and I'm starting to find out some stuff about me that I worry so much because I'm convinced that if I can do things just right, if I can handle the situation right, if I can have the right answer, if I can do all the right stuff, then everything will work out just fine. And somebody that came from some childhood trauma, I want things to be just fine. And I can't make everything fine, friends. And neither can you. Who can tell anyone what the future holds? I can't. Only God can. So I think that's where learning to trust comes into place. And maybe that ultimately is the point of wisdom. That the ultimate thing that wisdom points us to is to be able to trust whenever we wind up with saying, who knows what the future holds? Who knows what will happen tomorrow? Who knows what these things will be? We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. But we know that God is in the future. We know that God has met us in the past. We know that God is with us right now in the present and that He will be with us in the future. So maybe that's wisdom. Maybe that's what wisdom ultimately is to know where God meets us, wherever we are, wherever we are, wherever we find ourselves, exactly where God meets us. There's this great line by Rich Mullins in one of the songs where he says, I'm home anywhere if you are where I am. Wisdom is wherever it is that God meets us. Past, present, future. That's where God meets us. So yeah, we don't know what the future holds. We don't. We don't know. we know that whatever the future holds, that God will meet us there. So maybe the wisdom we ultimately seek, the wisdom we ultimately need, is the wisdom that comes from knowing that God will be there with us in any future. Okay. Thanks for with us today. I will pick up tomorrow with chapter 11 and then chapter 12 on Friday. So, hey, have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow.